Hello, class, and welcome to our 7th lecture series on microeconomics. And I'm your instructor, Jamal Haider. So, we were talking about the cost of production, and we talked about that we would be covering our till chapter 13. We would be covering these lectures in our midterm, and midterm would be on 4th of November. And regarding the paper pattern, I would be discussing in our last slide. So don't worry about that. I will be discussing it extensively, how we are going to take online exam and what would be my pattern to take the exam. So regarding a little bit recap, revision, and also some new concepts. So we talked about the behavior of the cost, in which we talked about there are two behaviors that our total costs behave in two distinct ways. One is fixed cost and one is variable cost. We talked about that the fixed cost is that cost in which we increase or decrease our production, which means output. This cost, the nature of this cost or behavior of this cost is that it remains fixed. But in totality, it does not increase or decrease with the level of output produced. For example, cost of plant, rent of the factory. Variable cost, so the nature or behavior of the variable cost in total is that whenever we increase or decrease our production, it also increases or decreases. It is very proportionate. When output increases, it increases. When output decreases, it decreases. So workers' wages, raw material costs, these are of the nature of variable cost. So we talked about the example of Henry Helen Cookie Factory, in which we talked about how if we are not given these two fixed cost and variable cost, how we can find out. We see that on zero production, so this is not the production, these are number of workers, it means these are inputs, right? So this is not the output. Output is this one. So you see, when output is zero, we still have cost. So this is the fixed cost, right? 30. So you can also see that cost for the factory is also 30. So production increase, cost remain the same. Similarly, the cost of workers. So you see the pattern here. There is increase in quantity and there is increase in cost. Means this is variable cost and this is the total, which is fixed plus variable. So then we talked about this practical question and we answered this one. So let me read that. Fixed cost can be defined as a cost that vary inversely with the production. Answer is no. Vary in proportion with the production, no, that is variable cost, but we are talking about the fixed cost. So are incurred only when production is large enough? No, even we saw that in our previous table, even there was zero production, even still we are having the cost. So it would be D, which are incurred if nothing is even produced, right? So we also talked about this practical example as, suppose Jan started up a small lemonade. Variable cost for the Jan's lemonade stand now include the cost of, so we are talking about variable cost. So building the lemonade stand, so you make it one time. So from that stand, you can sell 1 lemonade, 10 lemonade, 20 lemonade, the cost of the building stand would be same. So this is a fixed cost, not the variable cost. Hiring an artist to design logo, it's a one-time game, also fixed cost, not variable cost. Lemonade mix, the more you sell, the more you would be needing lemonade mix, right? More sugar you need, more lemon you need. So this is a type of variable cost. And then we took that table, and then we define the total cost concept. We divided it. We find out the formula. So formula is total cost is equal to total fixed cost, total variable cost, and then we converted those into average cost. What is the formula for average cost? Average fixed cost is total fixed cost divided by quantity. Average variable cost, total variable cost divided by quantity. Average total cost divided by quantity. So we can also develop the formula for average total cost, which is average total cost is equal to average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Here we go. And then we do some, in our previous class, do some class activity. We took quantity on x-axis, and then we derive these average costs, right? Average total cost, average variable cost, average fixed cost, and marginal cost as well. So basically, we did that in our coming slides. So I just gave you advance notification here. So marginal cost we talked about. So it is a cost of additional cost of producing one more unit. So you can just derive definition by looking at the name. Marginal mean additional cost of producing one more unit, right? We talked about that. So we also talked about its formula. It is change in total cost divided by change in quantity. Here we go. So in our class activity 1, in our last lecture, we talked about, we did a class activity. We put x-axis quantity, and then on y-axis we first drive fixed cost, then we make variable cost, then we make average total cost, and then marginal cost. So we come up with this, and then we talked about its behavior. Here we go. It's very important. So we found out, so those who already did that activity, if you have that activity in front of you, so you can still see that and revise those concepts. The average total cost is U-shaped, like, like my drawing. Let me do it again. The average total cost would be like this, U-shaped, right? Which means when we have a small quantity here, so at low level of output, average cost is high. You see, at low output, it is highest. It is high. But when the production is increasing, it is decreasing, right? Average cost declines at output increasing. So this is very important concept. So I call it miracle or marvel of average total cost. How? Because you are producing more and your cost is declining. Amazing, right? The layman concept is you produce more, you have a cost more. But this is amazing concept. You are producing more, your costs start declining. So average total costs start rising because average variable cost is rising substantially. So after some point, when you have large production, so you see its costs start increasing. So we call the bottom. So this bottom we call that efficient scale. Why? Because here you see that when you start producing more, cost decreasing and remain fixed here, and then start increasing. So you will have, what is efficiency? Producing maximum with minimum resources or at minimum cost. So here, so when the cost is minimum, you are producing much. If you produce more, cost start rising. So it means naturally you want to produce where the cost is minimum. So that, isn't it our goal? Our goal was to maximize
the profit.
maximize the profit, right? What is the formula for profit? Total revenue minus total cost. So you are producing where total cost is minimum. So in that case, your total profit will be maximum. So that's our goal. So we would be producing at efficient scale, which is the bottom of the U-shaped curve, right? So a twist in a question can also be like that. So where you want to produce, how much quantity you want to produce. So we will be producing that quantity which lies at the bottom of U-shaped curve, which is average total cost. On that cost, when you produce those quantities and sell into the market, our profit will be maximum. So that is the goal. And then we talked about the managerial decisions. We talked about whenever marginal cost is less than every total cost. So we talked about that. What are the behavior of the cost behavior are every total cost is U-shaped, every variable cost is below the every total cost, this is our MC, and our FC is like this, always decreasing. So what are the behaviors? So let me write it down here. This is average total cost. Okay. So what was the behavior? Behavior was the MC cuts the every total cost at its minimum. So it means MC cuts on efficient scale, right? At the bottom of ATC, right? So when MC is less than the every total cost, so for example, if you are here, so this is your MC, and this is your every total cost. So when MC is less than every total cost, what is managerial decision? Increase production. Why? Because producing more will decrease total cost, right? And the other, if you are here, if you are producing here, so you see your MC is this point,